Now, these days, everything is customizable from your jewelry to your phone case, so why not the oil you cook with? Chef Dale Mackay is here to show us how to infuse our cooking oil with basil. So if you're following along at home, here's what you need. You need basil, of course, vegetable or canola oil, a blender, a coffee filter, and a strainer. So Dale, the last time you were here, you had me blindly sniffing spices to identify them, which I did very well, if I remember correctly. So today feels a little bit more low-key. How do we start?
You did very well, and thanks for having me back. I was very, very impressed with your sniffer for sure. And today we are going to focus on something else that I really like to kind of, infuse into people's minds is you go to the grocery store and flavored oils are very, very expensive. Herbs often aren't. And so I'm going to teach you how to make infused oils. Today is basil, one of my favorite herbs, especially this time of year. Very, very vibrant. You can generally get it pretty cheap. As you can see, I basically just chopped up this basil. There are some stems in there. I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to put that straight into my blender. I'm going to use a very, very neutral oil because I don't want to use an expensive oil because that's kind of, taking the purpose out of it. And we also are just trying to infuse this oil. So I want to use a very neutral oil. So I've got a vegetable oil or a canola oil.
Okay, so use a neutral oil. You don't got to spend a lot of money on the oil. You're going to get that beautiful herb flavor in there. So you're putting that all into a blender right now, Dale?
Yeah, I'm just going to blend it. And the biggest thing is with this is don't get greedy. It's easy when it comes to basil to be greedy, but we want to just get enough oil in there just to get it blending around so you can get as strong of it as an infusion as possible, because you can always add more oil later, but you can't take it away. So we're going to get it in there, just going to get it spinning, as you can kind of hear there. Just going to add a bit more. And that's it. So as you can kind of see, it's all been blended up there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it straight into my pot here. Like that. If you're in the restaurant kitchen, I'd make sure I'd use a spatula to get all this out. But right now, we're just going to put it on the stove.
Awesome.
And get this going. So basically, by putting it on the heat, we're going to activate kind of all the flavor and all that beautiful green that's in the basil. If you're really concerned about the color, you could also add a tiny bit of kale, not enough for any kind of real flavor, but just to pull some of that green out of there.
Okay, good stuff. So you've heated it up. It's getting real nice and hot. I know that part of this recipe is to have the strainer and the coffee filter, so I imagine you got to cool it down and then do some straining.
Yeah, you don't have to cool it down. The thing is, you want the oil to strain it through something is like a coffee filter. The reason why I like to use coffee filters is because it's going to get all those little bits and pieces out of there. So when we blend it up, it obviously gets mashed quite a bit up. So we're going to put it through there. But if you put a cold oil into something like this or even cheesecloth, it's going to take a really long time to pass through, or it's not going to pass through at all. So we're basically just going to get the oil nice and warm to get it infusing. But then also it's going to help us start straining it through here. So I've just already kind of warm that up, and I'm going to pour it right into coffee filter like that. And as you can see, it's starting to come through. And again, if it wasn't hot, it wouldn't come through. I don't know if you can see how green that already is.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
So all I really do is kind of just let that sit there. Yeah, and the nice thing is you can use any herb you really want. So I've got some mint here. I've got some cilantro. We do all types of oils. It doesn't have to be basil. The reason why I love doing all these oils is, for one, it's vibrant. It looks beautiful on the plate. But at the same time, it's so interchangeable. We make dressings out of it. We finish dishes with it. I even put it on ice cream at home. I'll often make some, put it in the fridge, or I'll put it in the freezer. So what we'll do is, if we have an excess of herbs, this I just pull out of the freezer. So this is scallion oil. So basically, when we have an abundance of something and we don't want it to go to waste and we feel like we're not going to be able to use it all, we make a really great oil out of it. We put it in bags and we put it in the freezer. So if you had a dinner party coming up and you had some basil in your freezer, you just pull that out and you make a beautiful dressing with it.
That is so smart. And my next question was going to be, how long will it last for once it's done? But if you decide to vacuum seal it and put it in the freezer, you've got that for many months to come, right?
Yeah. When you go to the grocery store and you buy a basil oil, it's going to be $15, $20 just to get a small bottle. When realistically, if you have too much basil, and you can see on the plate there, it's really, really nice and green and vibrant, and it tastes just like basil.
Oh, very good and very easy and very quick. I'm going to do mine the old-fashioned way. I got some bread here. I got some oil here. I'm going to do a little dip. And this is a fun thing to do, too. Super easy, but really nice. Thank you, Chef Dale.